Everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 16 Pro Max and compare it against the iPhone 12 Pro Max and see which particular phone is a better one for you. Now, I will probably tell the everyday average person that the iPhone 16 Pro Max is a significantly better phone in almost every single area than the iPhone 12 Pro Max. And I don't know why anyone would want to buy something like an iPhone 12 Pro Max if the 16 Pro Max was on the table, but there's a few things to keep in mind here. With the iPhone 16 Pro Max, it's a significantly more expensive phone. The 12 Pro Max is older, but these aren't really the only two options you have in your life, right? You have a lot of phones in between that you can also pick up as well, and we'll take a look at all these phones throughout the whole entire video. So if at any point you want to go ahead and buy any of these phones I talk about, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of basically both these phones, the iPhone 16 Pro Max and the iPhone 12 Pro Max are very different on the front side. The 12 Pro Max on the front is giving you a 6.7-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display, and it's a good looking panel. It's fairly large, so it's like a pretty big panel as you probably would have expected. This type of panel as well, I mean, like I said, it's good. It's a OLED display, it gets fairly bright. It's not the brightest panel of all time though, so keep that in mind. It's a 60 Hz panel and it's giving you the notch. So those things might be a little bit different, that is probably not going to be the best thing in the world, but it's a good panel for a 2020 phone. But keep in mind, compared to phones nowadays, this panel is definitely outdated. With the iPhone 16 Pro Max, this is a 6.9-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So basically like the same technology. It's a brighter panel. It has Pro Motion on it, so it's a 120 Hz display, which is genuinely so cool. And having a 120 Hz display is really, really awesome. So you're basically going to be getting that inside of this type of phone, which is actually very cool. So that in of itself is a really nice thing to have. It's also an always on display. So you can have this thing basically just be always on if you want to, meaning the always on display, like when it dims down and when you turn it off, you can turn it on or off, but it's still a super cool thing to basically have inside of something like the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So when it comes down to both, definitely the 16 Pro Max is way better, and you're getting the dynamic island as well, which is really cool. On the sides, you're getting basically flat sides on both these phones, which again is very nice to have. It makes the phone feel much more premium. So you're getting basically very premium feeling phones on both of them, which again is a very nice thing to have when it comes down to it as well. On top of that, you're basically going through and getting flat sides on both these phones. You're getting that reflective material on the iPhone 16 Pro Max, or on the iPhone 12 Pro Max is reflective. The 16 Pro Max no longer has that. That's basically just a standard kind of side aluminum, but still it's actually titanium, but still feels very good for the most part. On the back side, you're getting a frosted glass back, triple camera setups on both, LiDAR sensors on both as well. You're getting MagSafe capability, wireless charging on both. The big difference here, though, there's a couple of them on the back on the exterior. One, you are getting a USB Type-C port, which is really cool on the 16 Pro Max, compared to the 12 Pro Max with its standard lightning cable. That is kind of a big disadvantage of basically getting that, 16 Pro Max with USB Type-C. On top of that, with something like the iPhone 16 Pro Max, you're getting that action button and the dedicated camera button inside of that phone as well, which is genuinely a very, very cool thing to have. Unfortunately, the iPhone 12 Pro Max is not giving us those things, but it's still perfectly fine. I really don't think it's like the biggest deal in the world either. So overall, when it comes down to the outside, the iPhone 16 Pro Max is definitely a far better performing phone from the exterior than the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So kind of keep that in mind if you're wanting the better phone here. It really is going to be something like the iPhone 16 Pro Max than the iPhone 12 Pro Max, but I think everyone already kind of knows that. On top of that, when it comes down to the cameras, this is also a pretty big difference. The iPhone 12 Pro Max's camera is significantly better. The iPhone 12 Pro Max's camera is significantly not as good as the iPhone 16 Pro Max's camera. The 16 Pro Max is giving you a way better camera inside of it than the iPhone 12 Pro Max in almost every single way you can kind of imagine. So with the 16 Pro Max and the 12 Pro Max, both are triple camera setups. Both are giving you 4K at 60 on the front and the back. But immediately the iPhone 16 Pro Max is already giving you higher megapixel count from photos and videos. It's also giving you a higher frames per second you can film in. So now you can do 4K at 120 frames per second instead of the iPhone 16 Pro Max, which again is such a massive thing to have, and that in of itself is going to be a very, very big thing so people are going to take advantage of. On top of that, you're also going to be going through and getting a lot of capability when it comes down to basically like when it comes down to the spatial photos and videos, the 48 megapixel macro photography, latest generation photographic styles. That iPhone 16 Pro Max is going to be giving you such a good experience when it comes down to that kind of stuff. And I think that's a very big thing to keep in mind. So if you're wanting the phone that's going to be giving you better capability, it really is going to be something like the iPhone 16 Pro Max. Like that is going to be the significantly better phone here in almost every single way. And I think that's a very, very important thing to keep in mind here. So in my personal opinion, that type of phone is definitely going to be the better performing device in almost every single way you can imagine. So from that side, at least from the camera side, that kind of covers it up there for the most part. Now, on top of that, another very big thing to keep in mind here too is the fact that between both, they're both still supported with software right now. They're both still on iOS 18. But I think a big thing to keep in mind here is that with something like, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, this is going to be the phone that's going to be lasting for a much longer period of time. Like that device is going to be the longer lasting phone here in every single way you can imagine. So if you're wanting the phone that's going to be giving you a better experience, it really is going to be something like the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So that's going to be the phone that's going to be lasting longer. So I think that in and of itself is a very big thing to keep in mind. But on top of that, another very big thing to keep in mind here too is the fact that with something like the iPhone 16 Pro Max, this phone is going to be lasting not only just for a couple more years, it's going to be lasting for like 7 years from now until this point. The iPhone 12 Pro Max maybe has like 2 more years or 3 more years of updates. So once again, kind of keep that in mind. If you're wanting to get the phone that's going to be lasting for a longer period of time, it really is going to be the iPhone 16 Pro Max in almost every single way. From a battery life perspective, this is also something that's very interesting. Apple rated the iPhone 12 Pro Max as giving basically 20 hours of video playback, where Apple rates the iPhone 16 Pro Max of giving you 33 hours of video playback. So this is in and of itself a very big difference here as well. Like if you're wanting the phone that's going to be giving you a longer lasting phone, as always, it's probably going to be something like the newer phone, like the 16 Pro Max. So that in and of itself is another very big thing to keep in mind here too. Like if you're wanting a phone that's going to be lasting for a longer period of time, it probably is going to be the iPhone 16 Pro Max, but that phone is also going to be a faster performing phone because the iPhone 12 Pro Max is giving you that Apple A14 Bionic chip and the iPhone 16 Pro Max is giving you the A18 Pro chip. That is a very big difference in and of itself as well. Like you're definitely going to be getting the overall better performing phone once again from something like the iPhone 16 Pro Max than for something like the iPhone 12 Pro Max. You're getting way more RAM inside of the iPhone 16 Pro Max. You have 2 more gigabytes of RAM, which may not sound like a lot, but with those 2 additional gigabytes of RAM, you're getting things like Apple Intelligence and those types of things inside of the iPhone 16 Pro Max, which is a very, very big thing. And with the ProMotion display, that type of panel looks very, very nice as well. And it's a very good looking phone. I mean, I really like the iPhone 16 Pro Max. It really is such a tremendous phone. But if I were to look at something like the iPhone 16 Pro Max and look at the 12 Pro Max, yes, the 16 Pro Max is better, but there's a lot of phones in between that I would also recommend people to buy as well. Like you can go ahead and buy something like an iPhone 15 Pro Max, and that is still a very fast performing device as well. Like that device is killer. That device has a lot of stuff going on for it as well. And I would still recommend a lot of people to go and buy that phone too. Same thing with the iPhone, 14 Pro Max. The 12 Pro Max to the 14 Pro Max is a really big upgrade, probably a bigger upgrade than the 14 Pro Max to the 16 Pro Max. So keep that in mind. What I probably would tell you is that, definitely go for the 16 Pro Max. That's the best phone you can buy. But if that's too expensive, you can buy a used iPhone 15 Pro Max or buy a used or certified refurbished 14 Pro Max, even a 13 Pro Max, and still get a very big upgrade as well. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.